This is the main load center inspection, and I haven't seen what's going on the roof or in the attic yet. At one time this house had solar panels. This is the solar panel bank. It has been decommissioned. It has been turned off at this main switch right here. Alright? It's been disconnected. It has not been removed. All of this is still here. It's still in place. Still serviceable or whatever. I don't know what the arrangement is. I don't know if it's a rental arrangement, if it was bought right out. I have no idea. This is all beyond the scope of this inspection. But I was informed that this was supposed to have been disconnected, and in the most primitive, simple sense, it has been. But other than that, I might get some more clues along the way. This is the box right there. I have not seen inside the garage an EV receptacle since this is a solar house. So like for an electric vehicle, I haven't seen one of those. This is the main disconnect for the air conditioning unit. It should be sealed on 3 sides. This is the electric meter. It also should be sealed on 3 sides. See this main disconnect? The photovoltaic disconnect? This disconnect, you should have a similar disconnect for this unit. Dual warning supply, I get that, all the warnings, but there should be one switch on the outside of the building that can de-energize the whole structure. And this pipe, okay, our electric conduit that's coming into the house is coming from below grade. It should have a slip joint on this pipe so it can expand and contract as the house moves. And it won't cause undue pressure underneath here and push the box away. 3 sides should have been sealed. 3 sides should have been sealed. 3 sides to keep water from getting into the brick. This is the grounding rod. We're supposed to have 2. When we do, we'll see those in a minute. But that's our grounding rod. It should have been buried a little better. It's our main ground, our main principle right there. We are over on, see the house faces south. So this is the east side of the garage. We're coming inside of here. It's kind of tight. Thank you very much. I always appreciate it when everybody thinks about that. Say, you know, the inspector's going to come look at things. Oh, yeah, he is. Forget about it. Who cares about it? Okay, so here we are. This is the second ground. It's a Ufer. And this is what the marking is on that. I've got some screws. I'll put it back here in a minute. And then we kind of weasel our way back through here. And by the way, see this car right here? It's got storage underneath it. Do not roll this car without getting the storage out from underneath it. Alright? I left a note over on the windshield. And there's a note in the video. So we're coming along here. This is the main electric load center. We shouldn't have paint inside the load center. This box should not be held in place with drywall screws. Drywall screws pop and break. Okay, so the screws aren't strong enough. We don't have a main disconnect outside of the house. We have a main disconnect inside here, so it's 200 amps. At one time this was acceptable, but today we want to see something like this on the other side of the wall. L1 and L2 are supposed to be protected. We've got surge protectors on these things. That's a good thing. So we got surge protectors on these things. So we're coming on along. Well, what else have we got? You gotta have something else. Yeah, we do. So we gotta get a spam call. That's what we gotta get. Is that what I want to get? Yeah, a word from my sponsor. How about that? So, but we're coming on up here. We shouldn't have any contaminants inside of the cabinet. And then up here, this is called bundling. Now, even the illustration that I have baked into your inspection report that explains what bundling is somewhat apologetic. I get that. I've got some bundling at my house, which was built in 1964. It's not for sale, and you shouldn't have to live like me. But basically, what bundling is see these little, you're supposed to bring in 2 cables at a time. This big one right here is for L1 and L2 to come in. See this one? L1 and L2 comes in. They don't know where it's going to be, so they put another one up here. Oh, well, we don't need it up here. We'll just put these other wires in there. That's probably from the solar. Probably from the solar. No, clothes dryer. Clothes dryer is not GFCI protected. How about that? Okay, we got AFCIs in a lot of the locations. Not every location currently required, but at the time the home was built, it was required in the bedrooms and such. And so we have them at least there. We do not have AFCIs in all the appropriate locations. We do not have GFCIs in all the appropriate locations. The condensing unit is properly fused. This is our main disconnect. We do not have our main grounding location, that right over there. It's not labeled inside of here. Now, most electricians will figure that out pretty quick. I even figured it out. But it's supposed to be pretty simple. It's not labeled right there. And we've got our bundling, we've got our wires touching the cabinet cover. See these little dead men sticking out of here? They're there for a reason. See that guy? Thousands of panels rolling off the assembly line every hour, 24 hours, 7, 365 days. All this extra plastic. Why is that plastic there? It's to give somebody a clue. And it's like, oh boy, I don't know. We just felt like throwing away millions of dollars. And, so we do it every year. No big deal. Okay, this is a guideline. These wires are not supposed to extend farther outside of the cabinet than these guides. I mean, if you measure these, you'll notice they're pretty darn close to the same size. Why is that? Oh, I get it. The wires aren't supposed. No, they're not. The wires aren't supposed to be touching the panel cover. This wire gets energized. This cabinet gets energized. You touch the cabinet, you get energized. Let me come along here. I didn't wake up this morning to say, how am I going to piss off everybody? I mean, I don't think I did, but this is called handwriting. Okay, this is called, see where it says GE Power Market? That is called printing. Okay, the National Electrical Code thinks that this should be printed. The International Residential Code thinks that this should be printed. GE Manufacturer Installation Instructions thinks this should be printed. Now, are these breakers going to work anyway? You bet they are. Will I ever have a problem with it? I don't know. Do I have some printed at my house? My house is not for sale. That is printed. That's not handwritten. So what did we learn? We learned our grounding rod's not properly buried. We learned we don't have a slip joint outside. We learned that the box isn't sealed. We learned we don't have a disconnect outside. We learned that our solar energy is just turned off by one single switch. That's what we learned. We learned that L1 and L2 are not protected with a non-conductive. We learned that our bonding location is not labeled. We learned that we got contaminants inside the cabinet. We learned the cabinet was supported with drywall screws. We learned that we got some wires touching the cabinet cover. We learned that some of our AFCIs aren't in the appropriate locations, and some of our GFCIs are not in the appropriate locations. And we also learned that we've got a little bit of bundling going on up here. Those are just some things that we learned here today with the Electric Load Center.